Hey, it's Lisa here with another edition of Sacred Woman Wednesday. Today, I'm going to admit I'm a bit freaking waterlogged. For those of you that aren't aware, in Oklahoma, we have dealt with a ridiculous amount of water and rain, and it just seems like it won't stop. So the dog and I just went for a walk, thinking that the rain had stopped. Go outside, go for a walk, and I'll be darned if the rains don't start coming down again in the middle of the walk. So I came in, I am frizzy and wet, and I don't even care because right now I want to talk to you about our sacred woman for today. Initially, I thought that I would talk about one of the rain goddesses, but quite frankly, I'm tired of the rain and I don't want to focus on that which I don't want more of. So instead, I thought it might be better to focus on something that could be a little more useful now, which is a solar goddess, a sun goddess. So today I want to talk a little bit about Sol, S-O-L, who is the Nordic goddess of the sun. Now, what's interesting about the gods and goddesses of ancient, and just even past spiritual traditions is that typically the men, the gods were affiliated with the sun and the goddesses were affiliated with the moon. However, way back in ancient times, that was a little different. And especially in Scandinavian or Nordic type tradition, in this instance, Sol was the goddess of the sun. She and her brother Mani, were actually created at the beginning of the cosmos. She was the goddess of the sun. He was the god of the moon. And when they were born, they really didn't know what their purpose was, for being created. And so they had to figure that out over the course of their lives. They figured out that by working together, the state of duality, they were able to actually create day and create the nighttime, and that was able to be harmonious. Now, what's interesting, according to Nordic tradition, there were also two evil wolves that would chase Sol and Mani across the sky, nipping at their heels. Both Sol and Mani would drive chariots across the sky. That's how they'd kind of pull the light and then the darkness, throughout the day. But these wolves would chase them and nip at their heels. Now, in doing research about this, I found that the wolves actually stood for mockery and hate. Kind of interesting. Another example of duality, kind of like the sun and the rain that we've been dealing with here, but mockery and hate. Now, in the Nordic, traditions or the mythologies, it all led to this great battle of Ragnarok there, that when the cosmos basically collapsed. And that was actually when these two wolves devoured their prey, devoured Sol and devoured Mani. And when mockery and hate were actually able to overcome or take over the goodness. And as a result, the earth plunged into waters, which is kind of fitting for now. The earth became watery, and only apparently like two humans and a handful of gods actually remained for new civilization to be born again. Not encouraging any of that this go around, right? If locusts come, I'm out. I'm about to have it with this rain. But the point is, even after all of that, Sol, or her daughter Sana, depending on which legend you refer to, was left, did remain. That the sun did come back, that the light did come back, that even with mockery and with hatred and all the negativity of the evil wolves in this instance, even with all of the destruction of the waters, the sun did come back and the earth was reborn, even some would say from a more fertile place, even stronger than ever. So we have an opportunity, I think, in looking at this duality. First of all, we can focus on what we actually want to see. And in this instance, I'm focusing on the sun. I don't want to call in any more of this rain. For those of you who are not in Oklahoma, man, send your sun happy light vibes this way because we could really use it. We're looking at, we've got rain, flash flood warnings going on right now. We're looking at more rain over the course of the next week. And quite frankly, we're inundated and completely waterlogged. If you saw the New York Times article today in the paper, it was fascinating because one of the pictures in the New York Times is of a bridge that's no longer there over the Menard Bayou, and that's the bridge I would normally go over to immediately turn to get to the house that I own, that obviously I'm not living in. But it's not good. And so at this point, hello, Sol. Hello, sun. We could use you. We could sure use you. So please bring your goodness. Come on in. Let's focus on that which we do want. duality is an interesting thing because we do go through trying times. But if we've seen anything, especially within our community of Fort Gibson and Muskogee County, we have seen that when troubling times happen, that people show up in amazing ways to help each other. And that's, to me, one of the beautiful things about Oklahoma and the people of Oklahoma and other places, right, where disaster strikes, is that neighbors start really looking out for neighbors. Neighbors are there for each other. People who weren't friends before or maybe weren't acquaintances now come together with a common effort to try to help each other. And that is just such a beautiful thing. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn from that. But today, for Sacred Woman Wednesday, honoring Sol, thank you, sun goddess from Nordic tradition. We could use some of you. And also the idea too, that we all kind of have this inner sun that we have the opportunity to allow to shine. And I might just encourage that we focus on doing that. That even when there's a lot of rain outside, even when times are troubling and hard, it would be easy to fall into the darkness. But to the extent that we have the inner sun and that we can honor that and allow it to shine to the benefit of others and to the benefit of our communities and even our planet, that is the opportunity to allow that inner divine part of us to really guide who we are and how we show up in this world. So Sacred Woman Wednesday, honor your own inner sun. Thank you, Sol. Bring on the sun, please. And y'all, to the extent that you can, try to stay dry out there. Try to stay dry. And for the rains, later, come back in August or something. Anyway, have a great week, and I will talk to you. I think I'll go dry off first, and then I'll talk to you later. Have a good evening.